Alexander Olive disappeared on November the 9th, 1985 from South Lake Tahoe, California. Alexander is the 4-year-old son of Rosemary Judith, also known as Judy Olive, a former delivery room nurse at Herman Hospital in Houston, Texas. Alexander was initially abducted by his non-custodial father, Ulysses H. Robertson, on November the 9th, 1985, from his home in San Francisco, California. His mother, Rosemary, or Judy, went to Robertson's South Lake Tahoe, California home in December 1985 and demanded to know her son's whereabouts. Robertson refused to divulge the information and assaulted Rosemary, breaking her jaw, and he fled afterwards, but he was arrested in Los Angeles, California for the assault on Rosemary. Ulysses told the arresting officer that he did not know Alexander's whereabouts and speculated he was living with Rosemary's relatives in the San Francisco Bay Area. He was convicted and served 1 year in jail for abusing Rosemary, who won a court order seeking Alexander's return to her custody. The child has never been located. Ulysses was the prime suspect in Alexander's disappearance since the onset of the investigation, and a photograph of him is posted in the video here. He is often referred to as a cult-like figure in the press and allegedly lured many women over the years into abusive relationships. Ulysses advertised himself as an astrologer and promised horoscopes for female victims. Then he began abusing them. He is reportedly a charismatic man who often lured them into the abusive situations by offering drugs and alcohol as a means of coercion. Authorities were able to persuade an additional witness, Raj Robertson, another one of Ulysses' girlfriends, to testify against Ulysses in his son's case in 2001. Raj stated that she saw Ulysses beat Alexander in late 1985 and later saw the child's lifeless body floating in the bathtub. She said Ulysses loaded his son's remains into his van and forced Raj, who was pregnant at the time, into the passenger seat. Ulysses ordered her to keep her eyes closed during the journey and threatened to kill her if she disobeyed. Raj remembered little about the ride, but said that Ulysses stopped the van near a body of water in the South Lake Tahoe region. He then allegedly continued to drive for an additional 2 to 3 hours before stopping at a remote location in California or Nevada. DNA tests in 2001 proved that Alexander's blood was located on clothing found in Ulysses' van in 1986. This evidence, along with Raj's statements, allowed investigators to charge Ulysses with Alexander's murder in October 2001. At the preliminary hearing, several Ulysses' children testified that he was severely abusive to them all, and Alexander in particular. They said Alexander was singled out for abuse because he was biracial, small, and often soiled himself. Several witnesses testified that they had seen Alexander alive for several years after his disappearance. However, it is not noted if these were confirmed or not. In December 2009, Ulysses was convicted of second-degree murder. The jury believed he had murdered his son, but didn't believe that the child's death was premeditated. He faces a sentence of 15 years to life in prison. Alexander's remains have never been found. It is believed that they are located in a remote location, a 2 to 3 hour drive from South Lake Tahoe. Alexander Sol Olive is a biracial of African American and Arab American descent male who was born on May 16, 1981, and was 4 years old at the time of his disappearance. He was 4 feet tall and weighed approximately 35 pounds, with red auburn hair and brown eyes. He has a birthmark over his left calf on the outer side and a small scar on the right corner of his mouth, and scars around both ankles. He was often referred to as Salam, and he has a speech impediment. Alexander has never been located, but authorities continue to search for him, and his mother has kept a low profile and is rebuilding her life. If you have any information concerning this case, please contact South Lake Tahoe Police Department at 916-573-2100. And if you'd like to remain anonymous, please contact your local Crime Stoppers.